So we've got drama between John McCain and Donald Trump again. This time McCain with a clear shot against Trump, which I have to confess that I loved. Before we get to that, let me give you the context. You remember, of course, when Donald Trump was running for president, he had said about John McCain, quote, "He's not a war hero. He was a war hero because he was captured. I like people who weren't captured." Now, of course, he said that with the convenience of having avoided the Vietnam draft. And in fact, that's what John McCain's gonna talk about in a second. But I did wanna give you a little bit more context too about John McCain's service if you didn't know. In 1967, McCain was shot down over northern Vietnam during a bombing raid, breaking both his arms and right leg while ejecting from his plane. He spent the next 5 years in the notorious Hanoi Hilton prison camp, where he was repeatedly tortured and spent 2 years in solitary confinement. The scars remain with McCain today. He's unable to raise either of his arms above his shoulders. Trump has reportedly never apologized to McCain for the remarks. Now, that doesn't mean that John McCain is immune from criticism, far from it, and I have criticized him often on his hawkish stance when it comes to foreign policy. Everybody's allowed to disagree. But saying that he's not a war hero because he was captured from a guy who ran from the Vietnam War, that's a little bit too much for everyone. That's, by the way, not a little. It's way, way too much, apparently including for John McCain, who had this to say recently.
It was a tumultuous time, and most of it was bred by the conflict. And one aspect of the conflict, by the way, that I will never, ever countenance is that we drafted the lowest income level of America, and the highest income level found a doctor that would say that they had a bone spur. That is wrong. That is wrong. If we're gonna ask every American to serve, every American should serve.
Ooh, shots fired, and not so friendly fire. The person who claimed to have bone spurs and was very rich at the time and his daddy got him out of the war, Donald Trump. Let me give you some of the background on that later. McCain tried to walk it back a little bit, like, well, I didn't say Donald Trump. No, you didn't. Bone spurs, bone spurs. So here's the history of Trump on this issue. When Trump was in college, as Salon explains, from 1964 to 1968, he received 4 draft deferments for education. But in 1968, during the height of the Vietnam War, Trump received a 1Y medical deferment for bone spurs on the heels of his feet. So the reference to bone spurs couldn't be any clearer. There's no other person known to have bone spurs and gotten out of the war because of that. The Rush Limbaugh got out of the war. He said he had a tail, I'm not kidding. Some sort of discharge built up near his anus, and that's why he couldn't go to Vietnam. Not kidding, look it up. Almost all the right wing are filled with cowards who love to push your kids into war but didn't go themselves. Ted Nugent literally crapped himself to get out of the war. Look that up, it's amazing. Tom DeLay back in the day, hot tub Tom DeLay, said that minorities took his spots, otherwise he would have gone. Dick Cheney said he had better things to do. Later, he would have better things to do, like starting wars that your kids have to die for. So all those guys didn't go. Now, if that wasn't bad enough about Trump absolutely running from Vietnam and then saying he doesn't like people who were captured during that war he chose not to go to, then you have this bit of context. The president later told the New York Times that it was a minor malady and that he could not remember which foot had been injured. In other words, yeah, of course we made it up. We were rich. My daddy got me a doctor's note about some bone spurs I clearly didn't have. Believe it or not, back then he was actually an athlete. I know it seems a little weird these days, but yes, he was. It was a minor malady. In other words, it didn't exist and he doesn't remember which foot it was in because it wasn't in either. Okay, now just to be absolutely over the top on this, Donald Trump later joked on the Howard Stern show that he did have his own personal Vietnam. What was it? Well, it was on the issue of sexually transmitted diseases. Quote from Donald Trump, "I've been so lucky in terms of that whole world," meaning the sexually transmitted diseases. "It is a dangerous world out there. It's scary, like Vietnam. Sort of like the Vietnam era. It's my personal Vietnam. I feel like a great and very brave soldiers." Because back then he was going to so many orgies while other people were dying because they weren't as rich as him and as corrupt as him, that he felt like, well, I dodged a couple of bullets there in the different orgies that I went to, and I didn't get any STDs. And I'm a brave and great soldier, but John McCain isn't. I think that shot that McCain took at him is the very least he could do. It's about time, and I hope he does a hell of a lot more than that, because Donald Trump has richly deserved it. If you like this video, you probably like independent media. The best way to support independent media, become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.